Hello, fellow human light beings. This is Mahadeva, the Thunder Wizard. Welcome back to the channel. This is the Solar Flash update for November 2nd, 2023. And I want to talk to you about 5D manifestation versus 3D manifestation, and along with that, overcoming fear of the unknown. Hopefully this will be able to be helpful to people who are feeling stuck, feeling blocked. I'm finding more and more, I'm running into more and more people in my life who are really entrenched in unhappiness in their lives. They can't seem to move forward. They know what they're supposed to do. They know how to handle what's coming. They've, listened to me and or read all the books. Know all the right things to say and do. But when it comes down to actually taking the actions, people are very stuck. So, I've got, on my channel, I've got all kinds of tools, and that's what this channel is about. There's the Qigong, which is extremely important. Before I get into that, discipline, consistency is probably the most important thing there is. It is an absolute fact that the brain is able to be more plastic as a result of consistent actions. The truth is, if your life is miserable, or maybe if it's not miserable, it's not as happy as you'd like it to be, that is the result of discipline also, consistent action. The difference is you think that you're not doing anything, but you're doing things on a daily basis, you're doing things regularly, consistently, and it keeps your brain stuck in one place. It feels like you're not doing anything, but the truth is it takes a huge amount of effort and a huge amount of consistency to have an unpleasant life. It doesn't feel like you're doing anything, but you are. And so it's equally true to have a pleasant life, to have things in your life that you want, to be healthy, happy, and prosperous. It takes consistency and discipline. The difference is you're taking consistent actions in ways that you think are difficult or frightening or, in some way unrewarding or unpleasant. But you're putting just as much energy in. In other words, sometimes people will say to me, I'm lazy. I have to get over my laziness. And I say, there's no such thing as laziness. And they kind of look at me strange. And it's because, if you're a lazy person, it means that you make the choice to stay on the couch. You make the choice to stay in bed. You make the choice not to take actions. Sitting on the couch is an action. Staying in bed all day is an action. Eating Cheetos and, a big tub of ice cream is an action. It takes just as much energy to invest in those things as it does to invest in the opposite. So I'd like for you to give yourself permission to accept that you are consistently and in a disciplined manner doing the same things over and over again and choosing to take actions, and you're putting the same amount of energy into the life that you have, and you could put the same amount of energy into the life that you want. You just have to accept that it's, what you think is difficult isn't difficult. This channel, I give you tools. The first three things I'd like you to look at if you're new is to go to the Qigong playlist on the Thunder Wizard YouTube channel and do something there. You can do the Awakening the Immortals, which is very powerful, or you can do the Hool Breath or the Heaven Earth Qigong, or sorry, there's a plane going overhead. you can do whatever Qigong you want. That will shift your energy up and give you access to energy that will give you the feeling that you can have the power to make different actions. Do the interdimensional meditation if you're able to just go to the playlists and do the guided interdimensional meditations. Your higher dimensional friends will be able to give you all kinds of power and help you feel more comfortable taking actions that normally you wouldn't want to take. And the third one is, I can't tell you which one is the most important. They're all very important, but the third playlist I want you to look at is the 12 steps to 5D. So if you do one of those every day, I guarantee you will see some results, but you've got to stay consistent. You got to keep doing it. I keep running into people who say they know I've stopped. Doesn't work if you don't follow through. If you're looking for a magical, something magical that'll fix you, those magical fixes do exist, and they come as a result of you taking direct action. So we're going to be talking about what the key is to focus on to be able to take direct action. When you understand what is truly the carrot in front of you that drives you to take positive actions, you don't have to worry about being disciplined. And this is incredibly important, and it's the reason why if you're doing destructive things to yourself, this same principle is the reason why. It's just flipped on its head. And if you can understand this, it makes things a lot easier. So the principle of manifestation in 5D, which also works in 3D, is understanding that actions that are based on love always pay off. Always. When I say the word love, I want you to think for a moment. You don't have to write it in the chat. I just want you to think of what your definition is, because probably mine's going to be different. But when I say to you, taking actions based on love, what goes on in your mind? How do you define that? Is it that you're taking actions based on a happy feeling towards other people? Is it based on being a good person towards other people? Is it sacrificing yourself like Jesus for other people? Is that what love means to you? And now I want you to take a second and think about if your life is not happy, if you don't like what's going on in your life. I want you to think about the actions you consistently take. The easy ones: not getting out of bed, not going to the gym, not putting effort into your business or your job, or whatever it is. Or you're taking actions like taking intoxicants to feel better. What is the motivation behind that? And come up with a definition. What is it that you're seeking? Why do you do it? Because we never do anything without there being a perceived payoff. Even if we're stuck in a habit and things are on automatic pilot. Choices are being made on an unconscious level, and we are doing it because we are perceiving that there is a payoff. If you get drunk, it's because you think that the feeling that you get from the intoxication somehow does something for you. What is it? That it gets rid of negative feelings, that it, whatever it is. Think about it. So in 5D manifestation, the perceived payoff will come from a place of love. When you operate from a place of love, your perceived payoff will be associated with that. If it is an action towards another person, then the perceived payoff will be the happiness that you get from knowing that somebody else is benefited. But I want to change it up here a little bit, because as you can tell, I'm skating around the idea of being selfish. And somebody might misinterpret what I'm saying, that if you're taking negative action, it's coming from selfishness. And if you're taking positive action, it's coming from selflessness. And that isn't what I'm saying. I mean, selflessness has its place. But in the fifth dimension, there isn't any of the negative mindset and frequencies that dominate our thinking and our actions in the third dimension. In the third dimension, you can operate from love if you make the conscious decision to do so. More than likely, if you don't make a conscious decision, you will operate from a self-destructive place. But when you operate from love, you can do that in the third dimension and in the fifth dimension. And in both the third dimension and the fifth dimension, taking actions from love will result in you being healthy, happy, and prosperous. All right, so I've repeated the word actions from love long enough now that you've got that in your head, and you have a definition of what that means. So if you want to know what the true definition of love is, I recommend that you read my book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. Go on to Amazon, Kindle, or Audible and get that. It's just a booklet. It's very short. I have videos on here where I talk about it over and over again. So if you'd rather spend 10 minutes looking for a video than spend $10 on a book, because you know how people are with money, you can look for it on my channel. But what we talk about in that book is that your perfect life, your happiness, comes from you taking action towards your greatest happiness, your greatest bliss. And if you want to know what God's will is, instead of waiting around for God to show you, I want you to carry your cross across the Sahara Desert and save people. If you're waiting for that, it's never going to happen. God doesn't do that. But there is a commandment that will come to you that will tell you what your purpose is. And you will be able to know exactly what it is, because there will be an overwhelming feeling in your body, sometimes just for a moment. And that will be your command. And that is the joy of what your soul wants. I've said it over and over again. My sole purpose is to surf. To surf in warm waters, uncrowded beaches, living in, where I'm at, in rainforest, and that's what my soul wants. So it is a command. I must do it. If I don't do that, I am literally disobeying God. And how do you know? How do I know what God's will is for me? Because you will feel a flash of joy when you think about it. Now, you have to think about it completely without any qualifications. And that is hard to do. And that's why I have the, on my, you can go to career.thunderwizard.com and you can see that teaching, which, by the way, you get when you get the 923.thunderwizard.com. But you can go and get that, and if and people can get a session with me, and within an hour session, I can guarantee you I can help you figure out what your soul desire is. But you might not like what you hear, not because it isn't something you want to do, but because you will feel guilty. You will feel unworthy. You will feel lazy, stupid. Well, that can't be it, because we're trained to believe that what we truly get joy out of is selfish and wrong. And if we want to be happy, we have to do what society tells us to do, what God tells us to do, what religion, what careers, what education, governments, your parents, your wife, your husband. We have to do what they want us to do if we're going to be a good person. But operating from that isn't love at all. It's selfishness. True selfishness is when you want something for nothing. You want people's approval. You think that you're doing something good for society. You think you're doing something good for your parents when your parents say, "What are you doing? You have to honor your family and you have to be an accountant like your father and your grandfather. You can't go off and be a musician." That's selfish. So you think you're being selfless by doing what people manipulate and guilt you into doing. And the truth is, you are being selfish because you're doing it so that they will love you. You have a selfish attachment to being loved and accepted. And this is true with all human beings. And there's only two paths in this life. You're either going towards your dharma, which is your soul desire, or you're going towards your karma, which is wanting other people's approval. And you'd be surprised how many people consciously choose to sabotage their life in the hopes of getting loved and approved of. So in 5D, love is going to be the only thing that motivates people. People will be taking action based on giving themselves the bliss and the joy of their soul's authentic expression. And since you will love yourself completely, you will also love everybody else, which means you won't have any agenda on anybody else except that they find their bliss. You won't be doing things in order to get people to love you. You won't be expecting or demanding that people love you because you will have love within yourself. People may love you. I'm not saying there won't be marriages and relationships and all that. There will. But people will come together out of a common focus on their own joy and happiness. And they know in the fifth dimension that their happiness is other people's happiness and vice versa. Here in the third dimension, people don't know that. People think if you're happy, I'm not happy. People actually think there's a limited amount of success and happiness. And some people get it and some people don't. And you have to take other people's success. Like a boxing match. There's one, they're both beating the crap out of each other, but one guy wins. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you both got, physically beat up and you beat up other people. I mean, who's the winner in that? You have to take the victory from somebody else. And somebody's the winner, the champion. They're walking around with this championship and that has to be taken from them. That won't happen in the fifth dimension. You won't need to take anything from anybody else. There won't be any, I don't know what I was doing, flipping through YouTube and some video popped up of the Emmy Awards or something like that. And I didn't watch the whole thing, but for like 3 or 4 seconds, I was watching all of these celebrities in the audience, clapping for other celebrities getting awards. And I thought, this is ridiculous. This is just a bunch of celebrities giving themselves awards. It doesn't mean anything. It's just this idea of celebrity and fame, and somebody was the best artist. You were more artistic than the other guy who was also really... It's just a ridiculous way of functioning. It's very third dimension. But we operate this way. So the third dimension manifestation, let me tell you the difference. In the fifth dimension, you will have access to your understanding of the love that you have for your own soul and feeling the connection to other people's souls. And so when you manifest, you won't have to go through the same kind of things that we have to do in the third dimension to figure out what it is you truly want. You'll just know, and you'll intend it, and it will manifest. And it will be very simple. In the third dimension, however, there's another thing at play which happens here, and that is, how is it that you manifest negative things? How is it you manifest poverty, illness, anger, loneliness, pain, misery? How do you manifest that? Because you do. You manifest everything. Everything in your life is your own manifestation. And for that, we have to dip into armchair physics for a little bit. I'm sure you're aware of the very famous physics experiment, which was originally designed to find out if light is a particle or a wave. And so there's this whole way that you set it up, and et cetera, and I won't get into that. But what they found out is that light acts like a particle or a wave based on the expectation of the viewer. Now, I'm using that word very specifically. I'm not saying based on the belief of the viewer or based on the assumption of the viewer. Light responds based on your expectation. So remember that. The expectation of the outcome. And expectation is not the same as belief. I want to make this clear. Most people conflate. When I tell you, you have to go after what you want and imagine it and take action, people think they have to believe it. You don't have to believe it. You just have to have an expectation. Now, you cannot take action contrary to your expectation. If I got a baseball and I want to huck it a certain distance, I don't know if I can do it or not. I don't know how far it is, 100 yards, 50 yards, or whatever it is. I want to see if I can throw a baseball 50 yards. I may not believe I can do it. But my expectation is I want that ball to go 50 yards. You don't know whether or not you can do it until you do it. So when you take actions towards achieving the desires of your soul, you don't have to believe that it's going to work for you. You just have to have the expectation in your mind and then take the appropriate action consistently. You have to take consistent, disciplined action towards that with the expectation. And since light is like everything else in the manifested universe, it's, matter that is coalescing in different frequencies to create this world. Everything in this world responds the same way. So you want wealth, you want prosperity, you want happiness, you want health, you want to live in a different house. All those things will respond to your expectations that you take actions on. And again, you won't take uncomfortable actions unless you have a clear expectation of what it is you're going to get from it. So I also said that on here about overcoming the fear of the unknown. So unfortunately, I couldn't find another way of saying that, because when people ask me, how do I get over my fear? I say, who told you were supposed to get over your feelings? Fear is just a feeling. You're not supposed to get over it. You're supposed to take action in spite of it. While you're having fear, you take the appropriate action with the expectation you want to accomplish. But it is important to understand that there is no other way to live and manifest without being in the unknown. And that is, I would say that's the second biggest fear that we have. Some people would say that the greatest fear humans have is the fear of the unknown. I would say that it's the second greatest fear. The greatest fear that humans have is to be completely seen, loved, accepted, and nurtured. You don't think that's your greatest fear, but it is, because that means living completely vulnerably without any defense mechanisms. And that's a very frightening thing for humans to do. And the truth is, when you are loved completely, it will destroy your third dimensional vibration, which feels like you're dying. And so people are afraid when they experience that level of love from higher dimensions, especially. If they're not seeking to die to their ego, it'll actually turn them paranoid. I mean, I'm experiencing this. There's a person in my life who I have shown more love and acceptance and nurturing than anybody else in that group of people. And that person is so frightened of me that they've made it their focus right now to attack me and devalue me in every single possible way. And when it's been brought to their attention, not only by me but by other people, that, yeah, but Mike has told you numerous times that he loves you. He's never said anything negative to you. And the person's response is, I don't believe it. That's the craziness that will come when you are facing true unconditional love without any attachment or without any, hope of gaining something from somebody. When somebody truly sees you and loves you for who you are, depending on how attached you are, how much trauma you have, you may respond with complete disbelief. And not only that, you'll not only not believe what they say, but you'll think that they have the opposite motive. You'll get paranoid and crazy. So that's the greatest fear we have, is to be seen, known, and loved. The second greatest fear, which goes right along with it, is to be in the unknown. You cannot manifest without being in the unknown. Being in the unknown means that you're not trying to control anything. When I'm doing interdimensional meditation, this is a good thing to know. When I'm doing interdimensional meditations and I'm communicating telepathically with a light being, I have to do this dance with myself. And I will ask, lots of times I will ask them, do you have anything that you want to tell me? And I have to be willing to allow myself to go along telepathically with whatever is being said. Now I can get in there and block it if I want. I can even, create my own internal dialogue and tell myself, some higher dimensional being is telling me this. But I can usually tell the difference. What ends up happening when I'm truly getting a telepathic message is I will feel like I don't know what's going to be said next, and it will create, fear in me. I will be afraid of what is going to be said next, because I can feel it's something that's not part of my understood reality. And then that communication will bring a lot of power and completely expand me. But I have to work at being comfortable being in the space of the unknown, not controlling the outcome, not knowing what's going to happen, and not understanding what's happening. This will happen to you if you manifest your dreams. There will be a point where you will be out of your comfort zone, you will be beyond your understanding, your ability to control and understand yourself and what's happening. And, part of it, this is why, look, there are people, so many people in the world, I don't know what the percentage is, but people who win the lottery. Many people who win the lottery, they win millions, $20 million. They're living in a trailer somewhere, and then they win $20 million. And that is complete unknown for them. They're now in a space of the unknown. They've never had this much wealth, and they don't know how to function. And so you'd think that because they spent their whole life going, if I just had enough money, which is why they play the lottery. If I just had enough money, everything would be okay. I'd be happy. I'd be safe. I know what was going on. I could control my world. And then you give them $20 million, and the next thing you know, a couple of years later, they're not only completely broke, but they're in debt. They sabotage the success that they asked for. And this will happen for you as well. If you follow your soul desire, you will be thrust into an experience of being in the unknown. And you will have to learn how to tolerate that and continue to take positive action, continue to stay aware, because the desire to sabotage it will kick in. Happens with me all the time. It's a daily experience to continuously have my success brought to me and, not sabotage it. And this is all something we all have to learn. So the way to overcome the fear of the unknown is to know that you can't escape it. You cannot escape the fear of the unknown, and you cannot escape being in the unknown. You cannot escape it. And it will be frightening, and you cannot escape the fear. Trying to escape the fear is trying to escape the unknown. So when people ask me, how do I overcome my fear? They don't realize they're saying, how do I sabotage myself? Let me give you another example. Like, there's some things I told you that my soul desire is to surf. Now, I'm not a big wave surfer. By big, I mean when I was a kid, big waves aren't the same as now. The size of the waves that people surf now is just absolutely unbelievable. They're taking their life into their hands every single time. And it's amazing that more people don't die doing it. And the thing about that is that you don't have any real control. If you surf waves that big, it doesn't matter how good you are, how well trained you are, you can't control the outcome of that. You can't control what the wave is going to do. And really, it's just about surviving. People who are big wave surfers, they're really just surviving. They're not really surfing. They're just hanging on and surviving. And that's part of the reason I don't do it. The other part is I'm 60 years old, and I don't want to put myself through that. But, I've surfed waves that I think most people would be very frightened to surf. But the people who do that enjoy being in that state of being out of control and not knowing what's happening. And you have to be a special kind of person to like that kind of craziness. You have to like being in that kind of fear. And that's what is the turn on for them, because usually these are very good surfers and they can surf just about any wave and they can control it. But when you don't know what's going to happen in the next millisecond, when you don't have any control and you don't know, you feel really alive. So if you want to overcome the fear of the unknown, get ready for that kind of experience. You're going to be surfing a wave of reality and not knowing what's going to come next. And you know that you're not in control of what's happening. You can't control it. It's happening and you have to go with it. Or, and again, in those situations, if you don't stay open and flow, you're guaranteed you're going to fall and you might die. There's nothing fun about falling on a big wave like that. So you'll have that experience when you're going after your success, and it continues. My life, exactly the same. And just before all of this ET stuff started happening in June of 2022, I was actually getting to the place where I was bored. I was like, okay, what now? I don't know what's coming next. I'm bored. I can't. And then this happened, and I was so far out of my depth. I was in, talk about fear of the unknown. But I wouldn't change anything. It's incredible. It's an aspect of my existence I didn't have access to before, and I can't imagine living without it now. So, in order to manifest in both the third dimension and the fifth dimension, you must operate from the love of your soul. And the hardest thing for most people is to know the difference. The best way to become aware of that is to start seeking to know what your soul desire is. And as I've said many times, most people don't know the difference between what they truly want and what they think they're supposed to want. And as I said before, the carrot for both positive action and negative action is the same. The person who is, lives at home and eats Cheetos and ice cream all day and doesn't take action on their life and sits around feeling like a victim, as I've said, those are actions. You're choosing to consistently, with discipline, take the same action every day, responding to feelings, investing in those feelings. Those are all choices and actions. And you're doing it for the same reason that the person does who goes after what their soul wants and takes the risk and lives in the unknown. And that reason is it's coming from the perception of love. On one hand, and I know this doesn't make sense, but trust me, it's true. The homeless person who won't get up off the street, the alcoholic who lives in the gutter, the person who stays at home and lives with their parents and won't take action to get out of that, the desire is the same as the person who achieves all of their dreams and lives in the unknown, and that is they're seeking love. The difference is the person who operates in a way that brings them sadness, failure, etc. They're operating from the desire to get love from somewhere outside of themselves. They want to get approval from the world. They want to get love from their parents. Even, people on the street, their parents are dead. My brother, if he's still alive, if he hasn't gotten off the streets, same thing. He was operating from the wanting to get his mom's love. And that sounds totally backwards. Why would the desire for love put you on the street? Well, if you've come to the conclusion somewhere, that, as my mom put into both me and my brother, that your value was based on being unsuccessful so that you'd never leave home. That's how my mom wanted, us kids to be. I did the opposite of my brother, obviously. I went after what I wanted, knowing that it was going to result in not getting love from my parents. My brother couldn't tolerate that. The thing he wanted more than anything was to be loved by his mom and his dad. So he followed through with that internal programming that says, your only value is being poor and worthless. That's why even if you gave him an opportunity to get off the street, he wouldn't do it. So if you're, on a much less extreme example, you can't get out of bed, you can't take action, you can't get yourself healthy, you can't find love, you can't get sober, whatever it is, it's coming from a desire to get love outside of yourself. So when you understand that the carrot is the same, you want love. Now, if you're living in a victim mentality world, you're looking for love outside of you because you believe all of your pain and misery is coming from outside of you. It's happening to you. You're a victim of circumstance. But if you understand that the only love you can ever truly have control over achieving is the love that you find within your own soul, when you understand that that is the one thing you can be guaranteed, that if you take the appropriate action, if you live a spiritual lifestyle, if you follow and live authentically from your soul will love you. Your soul will fill you. It'll feel like God's love. People talk about feeling God's love. What they really mean is feeling the love of their own soul surrounding them. One of the things that's come out of my interaction with ETs is that the experience of me loving myself from my soul has expanded and expanded, so much to the point I'm like, I don't know, could I even be in a relationship with somebody? Because it feels so wonderful to have my own soul love me to this degree. Why would I want to try and nobody else will be able to love me like my soul. At least, that's what my head tells me. Who knows what's true? But the point is that because that feels so good, I'm willing to not put my actions into wanting to be safe financially, wanting to be safe in this way. Because if I did, I'd still be living in the United States complaining about it. Instead of living, paying half the price for rent. I'm living in absolute paradise, but I'm only here because, I'm willing to live in the unknown all the time. And it's what my soul wants today, which is more important than, 10 years from now, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, I'm starting to babble. So again, if you want what this channel has to offer, my suggestion is to take advantage of the tools, which are actions. There's nothing I teach you that isn't action-based. And another good thing to know is actions are what counts in the universe. Nothing happens in this universe without taking an action first. And you can't take appropriate action if you don't know what it is you truly want. And you can't know what you truly want if you don't know what your expectations are. And if you know what your expectations are, I want to live in a perfect world with rainforest and empty beaches and warm water and all of that. That's an expectation. That's what I want. That's what I expect out of my life. And then I take the actions, very scary sometimes actions to achieve that. If I wasn't clear on what my expectations are, I wouldn't be able to manifest it. All right? Anyway, that's a lot of stuff, and I could go on and babble, but I'm done. So subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong if you're dead serious about this. 923.thunderwizard.com. I'm giving away all of my teachings almost for nothing. It's $3,500, $4,000 worth of teachings for a few $100. All of my books you can get at michaelwilliamdenny.com, or you can go to Amazon, Kindle, or Audible. Look for them. Interdimensional Revolution, Extraterrestrials Are Coming to Earth, and The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. I recommend those 3 books. All right, as before, I tend not to take questions unless I recognize you and I like your question. Bear in mind, if you ask a question, there's a possibility I'm going to say something you don't want to hear. So don't get your feelings hurt if I do that. I'll try and avoid it. I'm trying to be more patient and tolerant with people's, state wherever they are. Okay, so I'm not seeing any questions. Is that it? That's everybody. Let me see. Is that everybody? Yep, that's everybody. All right. So very good. Congrats to those who are taking action. And that's it. So again, if you're stuck, there's a very good chance you won't be able to unstick yourself. I can't. I still have a therapist and a teacher. I still have a group that I am part of. I still have to, reveal myself to other people whom I trust, who show me where I'm at. I still seek out instruction and guidance. There's a very good chance you won't be able to accomplish getting out of being stuck if you don't have something. So, my recommendation is to find a mentor, a teacher, a guru, a counselor. Find a group of people. Just about everybody listening to me qualifies for some 12-step group. Find something where you aren't just stuck in your own head, because your best thinking got you where you are. So there's very little chance you'll be able to think your way out of it. But continue to do the things that I put in front of you, and if somebody's really serious about transforming, you can become an apprentice and work with me directly. And you can do that by going to thunderwizard.com and subscribing at the various levels of apprenticeship. But I'm not the only game in town. As long as you're not just sticking with yourself, you'll be all right. All right. some other things coming up. Nothing else. Okay. Yeah, Ariel, I appreciate that, and I saw your response, your comment. You were thanking me for what I said to you. So thank you. I got that, and I'm glad to know that that was helpful for you. And I'm continuing to send you positive energy to help you with that. All right. That's it. I wish you guys all the best. I love you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for working on yourself. Thank you for going in the right direction and doing, sacrificing everything for your own empowerment. Because when you do that, you empower yourself, but you also empower me and all other conscious beings in the universe. And if the flash don't come, or if I don't get